Hey guys, what is up? This is Yannis from Motivational Addict, and today I have here with me Louie.
How's it going?
He's a male model based in UK. He's a really cool guy with amazing mindsets, and that's the plan of this video, right?
Yeah.
We will pick his brain up to learn more stuff about his way of thinking, his mindset, and of course motivation. So without further ado, bro, it's good having you here.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a bit stuff about who you are and what you do?
Okay, cool. I'm 19. I live kind of central UK. Where I live, there is a photography uni, and so when my friend said to me that I should start modelling, I kind of took it as like a little joke. I've got two brothers, and of the three of us, I've always grown up being the ugly one of the three. So it's quite funny when he mentioned it to me that he wanted me to get into modelling. He was modelling himself, but you know, I kind of decided just to do why not kind of thing. And yeah, so like I said, where I live, the uni there is a photography-based uni, so it was very easy to get in contact with different photographers, and we'd do something called time for print. So essentially, where students don't have a lot of money to book, professional models, they would go to different people on the street or different models or whatever who kind of just aspiring, and they would use your photos and in exchange, instead of paying you, they give you photos for your own portfolio. So essentially, it's just kind of so that's time for print essentially. And so it was very easy to kind of create myself a portfolio, and with that I started posting on Instagram and things like that. And the person who initially got me into modelling got me in contact with my first agency, who were really, really good. They gave me a lot of feedback on some of the photos and a lot of advice and places to go, and got me quite a few shoots, which are really, really good. And eventually in June time, I was seeing that it's now October, so it's been quite soon, but in June time I was approached by an agency who I'm currently with, based here in Manchester, and yeah, since then, the rest is history. Like it's just flown so quickly since then. It's been less than 6 months, and since then I've had I'm now on billboards in the London Underground, I'm on websites and stuff. And I've just recently signed with another agency alongside my first one, based down in London. So it's escalated really quickly, and I'm just loving life, just excited to see where it's kind of going from there.
Now, if I can love your Instagram, I love your pictures, and as well I like your stories. I'll have in the description below your Instagram profile so that people follow you, check you out. Guys, he really knows what he's doing, so Anyway, so my first question for you, since we talk about motivation today, what's your definition of motivation, first of all?
My definition of motivation would probably be, rather than just the want to go out and do something, is more the need to go out and do something. The kind of recognition that I'm probably not as good as I could possibly be, and so I have a need to make myself better. Mm-hmm. So I think, to me, a lot of people would say that it's probably just wanting to do a bit more, or seeing different ways to kind of better yourself, or just bettering yourself in general. For me, it's that hunger for something more, that recognition that you could do a lot better than where you are now, and in order to do that, I'm going to do this, and then suddenly you have this mindset where you're just excited to go out and do that. And I think, to me, that's probably what I'd say motivation is.
I like that. I agree with that exactly 100%. When people ask me the same question, I'm like, well, motivation is like waking up in the morning and be like, yeah, it's a fucking new day, let's go kill it, let's go, seize the day. And even if you have weather sucks, okay, even if you had a bad day yesterday, you're ready to conquer this day as a new one. Alright, second thing on motivation, because you said you travel all the time back and forth, Leicester, Manchester, London, you do this. you have to build your branding, okay, you do your videos, you do your social media, you do your photographs, and then also you need to perform when you do these pictures. How do you keep yourself motivated? And how do you do that even when everything is bad in your life?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question. It's one that I'd probably approach in kind of two ways. The first way is where I am right now. The motivation that I have right now is the current successes that I've had. I mean, I recognise that, you know, I've had quite a bit of success in my recent past, and I'm very, very excited and very fortunate to be where I am. But at the same time, I recognise that, you know, I've got a long way to go. I've still got a lot to accomplish, and you know, I'm very excited for where that's going to take me. And so I think that excitement is something that's very, very important. And so I think where I find motivation now is seeing my success and seeing, you know, if I can do this, what else can I do, kind of thing. And so that's where I find motivation now. The second way that I would probably approach that is, I mean, you know, when you very first start off, you know, you're not always going to find that motivation. You're not always going to have that success to go off. And so when I very first initially started, I think the place that I found motivation in most was having the confidence to just throw myself out there, just put myself out there, and if I fall flat on my face, I fall flat on my face, you know. It happens. People, you know, you fail. You're not going to always succeed in everything. Yeah. And so you just got to not afraid to fail. There's a Christian preacher called Mike Pilavachi. One of the things that he says that I'll always kind of laugh and joke about. He says, you know, I'm just going to say it, and if I say it and it's incorrect, no one died. And it's very true. I mean, you know, I'll laugh about it. It's quite a funny thing, but like, it's very true. If I post a modelling photo and no one likes it, no one's going to die. Like, you know, what's the worst that could happen? Someone tells me I don't look good. Great. You know, I can work on that. Just, you know, just finding the ways to kind of change how you are and kind of adapt to your environment to kind of go that little bit further is where I probably find the motivation. So initially, to answer your question, the motivation that I would find is through just throwing myself out there and then working on the response, working on what feedback can I get from it, what's been good, what's been bad, not taking as much to heart. You know, and you've got to take some things to heart, but you know, because that's where if it takes you to heart, then it's going to affect you more and it's going to make you want to change more. But you know, seeing it all as feedback, seeing it all as a positive way, as you know, taking the positives out of it, seeing how you might be able to change from that. So you know, I think a lot of the importance in motivation is brought from just putting yourself out there, just expecting the worst, and seeing how you can change and adapt from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, feedback is king, definitely.
100%.
But you need to be like, if there is a consistent feedback, okay, it means that you're doing something wrong or you're doing something right, so you should always take it into consideration. What about like 3 tips that you can give to the people watching this video right now that can help them succeed in their lives?
Succeed in life, right? Okay. The first one I would say, I would draw on what I've just said about feedback, and I would say that with criticism, the most important thing is to ignore criticism, but cherish criticism. Mm-hmm. And it's a very contradictory statement, but let me just explain. So ignoring criticism is ignoring those people who chat about you behind your back. You know, I've seen group chats where you know, one person posts one of my modelling photos with a load of laughing faces, and with the caption, "How did Louie become a model?" kind of thing. And you know, it's a fair comment. You know, everyone's got their opinions, but in fact, I'll tell you that in a sec. But so you know, ignoring the criticism where people are saying it behind your back. I'd hope that if someone's saying it out of, if someone's saying it because they genuinely want to criticize me, as opposed to saying it out of spite and out of jealousy, because that's really what people are. If they're going to criticize you behind your back, they're really just being jealous. They're jealous of the fact that you're doing something, you're getting the attention that they're not, kind of thing. But if they really mean it, if they really care about your feelings and care about you changing who you are because of this thing that they saw probably wasn't the best thing to do, they will then probably tell you and say, hey, Louie, I think this was probably a bit too far. The story that I was going to say a second ago, very good example of this. And I told you this before we started the video. I got in contact with this photographer through my first agency that I joined in June. He's a great photographer, and it's so nice working with a professional photographer. And whilst the uni students were brilliant, they were absolutely incredible photographers, and I will always shoot them again if ever they hit me up. But working with like a professional photographer who's had a bit more experience, done it a bit longer, it was really good working with him. And one of the ideas that he had was a bit risque. It was me in my tighty whities, just some white fronts, and a wartime jacket, and that was just it. So it was, and I was lying on the floor in quite a provocative position, and that was one of the photos that he took. And I thought, I want to show that I'm versatile. I want to show that I can do a few different things. So I posted that up on my Instagram without a second thought. And one of my friends came to me and said, Louie, whilst I love seeing that you're doing really well with your modelling and things like that, probably a bit too far. Exactly. And I looked at that and I was like, okay, cool. I'll delete that, fair enough, and probably post something a bit more appropriate. Maybe the world is not ready for that side of Louie just yet. But it was like, I took that feedback on board because it was given to me directly. And that person, I'll always love for saying that, because they had the decency to come and tell me to my face, as opposed to screenshotting it, sending it off to one of their mates and going, oh my goodness, I can't believe Louie's just done this, kind of thing. I would much rather them send it to me, tell me, so that I can hear about it. Because if people are thinking about that and thinking that I look stupid for putting it up, then, and they don't tell me, I'm like, aren't I? I don't want to look like an idiot all the time. So I would say the first tip, ignore criticism, but cherish criticism at the same time.
That's good.
The second tip that I would probably tell people would be motivated, essentially. And I'll explain. It's something that I thought of a while back, and you'll always get those cliches in life that are like, life's a marathon, not a sprint, or every cloud has a silver lining. Those kind of cliches that you hear all the time. They're just passing comments. You just ignore them, push them to the side. But I thought about it, that life's a marathon, not a sprint. And I thought, there's probably a bit more meaning to that than anyone's ever thought of. And the meaning that I kind of got from it was, imagine your life is a marathon. Imagine you just get up now and just start running. If I just got out of this room and just ran in one continuous direction for as long as I could, eventually I get tired, I want to sit down. And it's alright to do that, because no one can run forever, it's impossible. So, you get to sit down and you have a drink, or you have some food or whatever, and you're relaxing for a bit. My issue is, the longer I sit down, I don't know if it's the same for you if you've ever gone running or whatever, but the longer you sit down, the longer you stay still, the more you kind of think in the back of your mind, I'm kind of tired, I want to go home. And the problem is that the danger is that if you do go home, you then wake up the next morning and you're full of regret, thinking, you know what? If I'd have pushed myself, if I'd have just got up and carried on, I could have probably made it to the end. I could have probably made it an extra mile. And I can sit down for longer later on if I need to. But if I push myself, if I was brutally honest with myself, probably could have gone a bit further. And I think the real life application for that would be, in life you see a lot of people push themselves, and you see a lot of people go as fast as they can and reach a goal, and it's great seeing success. One of my favourite things is seeing other people have success, because whenever you get success, you're really happy, and seeing other people have that same happiness, happiness is a great thing. I love seeing people succeeding, getting new things, and it's something I'll always cherish. But you see people and they go and go and go and progress in life, and they're running that marathon. but eventually, you know, you're gonna burn out if you carry on going. You can't just go forever. And so you need that day off. You need that day to yourself, with your family, with your friends, just to kind of relax and just take a step back. The problem is, you don't want that day off to turn into a week off, and that week off to turn into a month off, until eventually you see certain people who, from an objective standpoint, they're in a very static position in life, and they're stuck in that dead-end job with that dead-end life that they don't see anywhere progressing, because they've let themselves get too attached to that sitting still and, you know, standing still in that same position. So the second point, my second tip, rather than just get motivated, that's not very helpful, is don't stand still longer than you have to.
Yes, sir!
Don't stand still in that same position for longer than you're able to. If you give yourself a day, if you need 2 days, 2 days is fine. If you need 3 days, 3 days is fine. But you've got to be honest with yourself and say, actually, you know what? I could take a day off today, but actually I'm going to get up when my alarm tells me to and do something with my day. I'm going to do something productive. And, you know, that's what's going to give you that motivation, because you look back on that day and you go, actually, you know what? I'm glad I got up today. I'm glad I did this.
So basically, it's all about momentum. You start,
exactly.
And the more you do it, the easier it gets, and then you have more motivation, more motivation, more motivation, more motivation. Then you destroy your goals.
There we go. That's exactly right.
Perfect.
So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 would be, you know, very simply, don't be a dick to people. Just be a nice person. Like, there's nothing worse than being in a room with someone who just picks a fight at everything. And, you know, you're never going to get along with everyone. Everyone's always going to have that slight thing that gets on your nerves. But just like, you know, just be a nice person. That it's so easy to go into a room, say good morning to someone who you don't usually say good morning to, walk past the street, and if, I don't know, you see someone drop something, pick it up for them. Sometimes if I'm say I travel a lot, if I'm in a place where I don't really know where I am, I put my phone away, won't use Google Maps, I just go up to people and say, hey, can you give me directions to this place? Just ask for directions, just to kind of chat to people, make them just smile, give them something to smile about today. You know, they might go away thinking nothing of it, they might go away thinking, I'll just help someone. You know, it's just be a nice person. And if I were being considered for a photo shoot, for example, and a company were to see, I know if I've shot with a company quite a lot and I've made a lot of good friends with them, and a company saw, right, should we book Louie, or should we book someone who looks pretty much the same as Louie, but, you know, he's dull on set, he's not very much fun, we all kind of wish the day was ending. I'd much rather be that guy that is, you know, just fun, just exciting, just having those conversations with people. I love people, like people are just like my favourite thing, just to chat to them, just to meet new people. And I think, especially with that, don't be a dick to people, will be alongside that networking with different people. I mean, what, you followed me on Instagram and I shouted you out one time because I saw a video that I quite liked. Then you messaged me asking me if I wanted to do a video. Then next thing I know, I'm in Manchester. We're doing this video. Like, you know, it's just from being nice to someone. If the first time you'd followed me and I popped up to you saying, "Who do you think you are following me?" Like instantly you're like,
of course, bro.
Like instantly you don't like me, do you? Don't be horrible to people. Just be nice. Just you know, consider someone else's feelings. Just go in, be happy and stuff. And, you know, essentially, sometimes you'll be shy. Sometimes in a room full of people, you might not be quite confident enough to go out and see people, and that's all right. But coupled with the first point is just kind of just throw yourself out there. If you get into a room full of people that you don't quite know, introduce yourself. Find out something about them. Ask an interesting question. You know the amount of questions I have. How'd you get into modelling? I don't want that question. I've got a blog post on my Instagram. Cheeky little plug there. I've got a blog post on my Instagram where if you want to know about how I got into modelling, just tap on the blog post. Nice and easy, short read. What I want is for someone to bring value to my life. Hey Louie, how's your day? Hey Louie, you know, what was your last shoot at, and what did you enjoy about the journey there? An interesting question, something I can actually go on, something that will, you know, bring something to the table. And I think that kind of networking, not just throwing yourself out there and kind of just being happy, can say a lot for how you get success in life. So those would be my 3 tips. Ignore criticism, but cherish it at the same time. Don't stand still longer than you have to, and don't be dicks to people.
That was absolutely insane.
Alright.
Thanks a lot for today, bro. So, guys, without further ado, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to follow Louie. Your Instagram is @Warner_, right?
Yes, that's all.
Okay, I'm gonna have the link in the description below. And till next time, make sure to be motivated as fuck. Make sure to follow those little tips we discussed today. And don't be afraid to hit the like and subscribe button. Till next time, be smiling and be happy.
Adios, boys.